All right, good morning, everybody. I'm gonna go ahead and get started because though it is warming up, it is not warm this morning. So I wanted to try to get you guys in and out in a timely manner so we're not out here with numb fingers because my pinky's already kind of feeling kind of numbish. So I'm gonna cover general goat and sheep, which is considered small ruminants because they have stomachs kind of like a horse, but they're smaller. Anybody here have goats? You have goats? What kind of goats do you have?
Scrub goats.
Scrub goats.
Nubian.
Nubians.
Yeah, but they're a mix, so we just got them from the neighbor.
That's the usual.
50 goats, and we got 2, and now we have 4.
They have 50 or you have 50?
He had 50.
Okay. That's a lot of goats.
He might have had more. Somebody came and he left town for a bit and had somebody feeding him, and somebody came and loaded him up on a trailer and took them all while he was gone.
Interesting.
Yep.
That's not
Just
cool.
took them. Yeah.
What kind of goats do you have?
These here are Nubian Saanen crosses and then Nubian Alpine crosses.
Okay. So all dairy.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. So you have goats. So what is your approach to general goat hair, the care?
Care? I don't know if we're all that good at it. We basically just we have them running, we have fences that are high enough that nothing can get in and nothing can get out.
Okay.
But we have about 8 acres, and so they just eat freely. And my husband makes them pets, so he goes in and feeds them sweet feed to keep them coming to him.
Give them candy.
Yep, only on occasion. He doesn't do that. No, they mostly just eat grass and whatever's out there.
Okay.
So, when we first got them, we were feeding them feed a lot because they were in a smaller area.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them kept getting worms all the time, and I didn't want him to use chemicals, and he did, or worm feed. But
Right.
I work, so I didn't have the time to be able to figure out what to do. Now I have a goat person who's coming to my house next weekend.
Okay.
To help me try to do things more naturally, hopefully. She does different types of things to keep the worms back. We only had one who had a problem, and she died on us when she had babies, and I think she was too anemic, I'm thinking.
Yeah, probably so.
She couldn't get up, as soon as they were born. She couldn't even get up while she was having them, and then she couldn't get up after. So
And that could have been.
That was like, okay, we got to figure this out and do it properly.
Okay.
We were crying and sad and all the things, and and we just need to learn how to take care of them.
So I have an idea of what that probably could have been. Did you have any training as far as no, just and
Books,
yeah.
going on the internet trying to figure
And so a lot of times people get into goats and they kind of treat it like chickens. It's like, just get some chickens, just throw them out there. But goats need a little bit more care. They're not difficult,
No.
but you have to know.
Well, our neighbor told my husband, "Oh yeah, just throw them out there." And
Yeah.
that's
So that fits right along with, what I'm going to talk about. So when it comes to the health of your goats, there's pretty much 2 things that are going to be a problem with your goats. Basically, it's going to be lameness or it's going to be parasites. And you probably had a parasite issue. Well, I know you said you had one, but it probably was worse than you thought it was.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the ground, like where I live. I have come to the conclusion that my ground just carries a lot of parasites. So I have to put forth extra effort to deal with it. It doesn't matter if it's dogs, pigs, or goats. It just carries a lot of parasites. And so part of that, when you deal with that, is breeding. So picking a breed that is parasite resistant. In the southeast, a lot of people have boar goats. Boar goats for meat is going to be that's the #1 meat goat. However, usually that goat doesn't have great parasite resistance, and you're going to start seeing issues. When you get into other breeds, you have Kiko. They're going to be a lot more tolerant, but they're not going to pack on the pounds like a boar does. A boar goat looks like a goat version of a pit bull. They're usually just short and stout, You know, and some of them, they just look like their legs are just round from their chest down to the ground. It looks like it's the same size sometimes. Those that they pack on. Some of the ones that have really good genetics, especially the ones that are that do shows, they're gonna have those looking like, but they achieve that by feeding a lot of grain, which you don't necessarily want to do with your goats. It causes other problems. But let me get my notes here, because I tend to kind of go off the cuff. Yes, ma'am.
What are some of the things that you're doing to the ground to sort of counter the parasites?
Prescribed grazing, rotational grazing.
Okay.
So let's say you've got 10 acres and you've got whatever, 10 goats. And it could carry more than that. But what you're gonna do is you're gonna rotate them. Ideally, like if I had 5 acres, I'd do 5 paddocks and I'd rotate them every 7 days. So when they come back around to that original paddock, you've had 35 days of time for those particular parasites to start dying off. So that cycle pretty much dies. And so that's the biggest thing, is rotating. Okay. And then and as you rotate like that, the actual soil health improves and the quality of the forage improves. And there's some other things you can do to kind of help with that. Because the parasites that are going to affect goats and sheep, they're not going to affect a cow, right? So what I do sometimes is in that rotation, I'll run a couple of steers behind the goats, because they're gonna vacuum up a lot of the parasites, but those parasites are gonna die in those animals because they're not the same, right?
I've been spraying the chicken coop with that compost tea. Like the ground all around, I had heard.
It does help. Yeah. It does help. It is a form of a pesticide. It's not a strong pesticide. It's more of a prevention than a treatment. So it's like once you get a problem, you just might as well just stop doing that, because it's not going to help. It's kind of like the thing with giving your animals pumpkin seeds, or that's kind of preventative. So once you get a problem, you can't really treat it with that. You got to have something stronger. Yep.
You said it was good to run chickens or cows?
I run cows behind my goats, because when by the time they're going to decrease the amount of parasites, because they're going to consume them.
Do the chickens help if you run chickens behind?
Chickens can help.
Yeah.
But I mean, in a multi-species rotational, everybody's going to benefit. Mm-hmm. Each species is going to benefit, and the ground is going to benefit, the soil, because each animal is going to do a different thing to the soil, and they're going to add different nutrients to the soil. Yeah. And so I would, if I did that, I would run chickens last, because they're going to add that manure that's going to be really, really heavy. And so you want that ground to have as little stress as possible while it's taking in that really, really nitrogen-rich manure amendment, because it'll burn things if it's too high. So you have to be careful whenever if you had chicken coop and you wanted to use that as manure, you gotta be really careful with that. When you have sheep versus goats, pretty much the same thing. There's 2 main differences. Nutrition-wise, sheep can't have a high level of copper. Goats gotta have copper. If you don't have copper, they'll start getting like their coat will look dull. It'll look like scraggly, and so you can look at it and you can tell when they have a mineral deficiency, and it usually is going to be copper. Sheep, they don't need very much copper at all. I don't remember the number. There's a part per million, but if a sheep get too much copper, they're going to go into copper toxicity, and they're going to die on you really quick. So you can run sheep and goats. I do. If you're going to be giving them feed, you have to give them a feed that is basically either is good for sheep or it's kind of a multi-species, and then you have to give your goats specifically their own supplementation.
Yeah, we have sheep and goats together.
Yeah. So what I normally do is I'll just run them together. I'll give them a feed, and I only give the females feed, while they're right before I breed them, and then up until about 5 months or about a month before they actually give birth. Because if you feed them too much, going into when they're getting ready to give birth, they're gonna get too big. So mama's gonna get too big, and the baby's gonna get too big, and then you're gonna have problems with the babies getting stuck. A lot of people have the idea, well, she's pregnant, I gotta feed her. But you kind of need to back off when you get about a month away, so you don't run into issues with that.
Same for goats.
What's that?
Is it the same for goats?
Yeah, sheep and goats, yeah. Especially if mom's got a single. I mean, every time I've had a single, it's been a problem because it's just a one huge baby. You know, I had a 10-pound single one time, which is crazy. You know, that's hard for mom to push out without any help.
What's like the ideal size for an
I don't, off the top of my head, I can't give you that number. Something like 5 pounds.
For what breed?
For what breed? Oh, well, full size, for a full size goat.
Okay.
So for a dwarf Nigerian, no, you don't want a 5-pound baby. Because mama that's 10% of mama's weight,
All right.
you know. So yeah, you don't want one that big. What's I gonna say? Oh, the mineral deficiency, and also when it comes to feeding. So in general, you want your goats to be eating with their head up, sheep head down. Because sheep are grazers, they eat grass. Goats are browsers, they eat things like blackberry briars and elderberry and the bark off of trees. So as long as they have their head up most of the time, they're not getting into so many of the parasites. And that way it comes into your grazing. When you're grazing and you're rotating them, you don't want to get down below 4 inches of your grass height, because your parasites are going to climb when the eggs hatch and the larvae climb up the stalks of the grass, and they only go about 4 to 5 inches. So you don't want to go below that. I tend to, when it gets to about 8 inches, I move them. Or if it's good graze, if I'm moving every 7 days anyway, they're not going to be in that zone in 7-day period anyway. So I'll move them regardless how tall it is. Every 7 days, I'm going to move them.
What breeds of sheep do well down here? Because I know it's harder because it's humid and it's hot.
So you have one of my favorite native Gulf Coast sheep do well.
What are they called?
Native Gulf Coast.
Native.
They are considered a wool sheep breed, but they kind of self shear. Well, not. There's a term for it. I can't think of the term, but like you can actually pull the wool off of them.
Can you use
One
it
this time.
for
Yes.
fiber?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can. So they do really well with the humidity and the heat.
Okay.
As far as hair breeds where you don't have to shear them, you're looking at a Katahdin or a Dorper. And so you have a similar situation with those, where the Dorper is going to be the meat boss. Because that's most of what people are doing with goats and sheep. They're raising them for meat. So if you have Dorper, same thing with the boar. They're gonna put on a lot of weight, but they don't have great parasite resistance. And that's breed specific. However, you can select for parasite resistance. So I'm not gonna go into the detail here, but you can do fecal tests where you can see how much parasite load that an animal has, where it's a goat or a sheep. And you may have 2 animals and they have the exact same parasite load. One looks sick, the other one just like whatever, right? That one that looks good, that has that same parasite load as the one that looks bad, breed that one. The one that looks bad, treat it and move it on. But you want to keep all the daughters from that particular one, because that's how you increase that parasite resistance in your herd. Yep. What else I got? There's multiple parasites that are going to be for both species. The barber pole worm is the one that's going to be your problem. That's the one that most of the time people are going to wind up losing goats is the barber pole worm.
Barber pole?
barber, like barbershop.
Okay.
And the reason they call it that is because when they look at it under a microscope, the worm is like white and it has red spirals on it.
Oh, like the little.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the barber pole worm. And so that's the one that kills most of your goats. And that's what the FAMACHA, and I'll go ahead and pass this around. You can pass it around. And this is what we use to kind of gauge the level. And it's kind of not the most, the goats are gonna be pretty sick when you start getting into where you can actually see that on a goat. And basically what happens with the barber pole worm is they're going to collect in the stomach and they make tears in the stomach lining and they suck the blood. They consume about, 0.01 milliliters of blood per day, right? Doesn't sound like a lot, but then multiply that by 1,000 worms every day. And then every day more worms are being born. So what's happening is the actual hemoglobin level, the red blood cells in the animal is being depleted. So when you're looking at those different levels on the FAMACHA scale, where you see it goes from a red to like a pale white, because that kind of generally speaking, goats kind of ran out of blood. And so if they don't have red blood cells, they can't get oxygen. And so they are going to eventually die. There's different levels on this, and I'm not gonna go into a lot of detail. I'm just gonna show you because really there's a class on it, and you sit in the class and you go through the whole, all of the parasites and all that, and then you actually practice checking the FAMACHA and you know what you do at each level. I'm just gonna do it kind of as a general, like a status on what we have out here, these animals. It feels like it's getting colder, doesn't it? Is that what it is? The wind's picking up? Let me make sure I'm not missing anything. What do you think, Terrence? I got everything so far? And I didn't even introduce myself. So on the sheet, my name is Ken Harris. I am not the, but one of two Terrences as well. Regional Outreach Specialist for Federation of Southern Cooperatives. We are the only regional outreach specialist. Our focus is herd health. We travel 7 states, helping farmers with their herd health. And however many that is, whether it's workshops, training, field days, working the animals, and that's what I do. I've been a farm boy I'm 48, 43 years. So I started farming when I was 5 years old. And people say, how do you farm when you was 5 years old? And I said, well, my grandfather gave me a chick, and he said, me and my cousins, keep it alive because we're gonna eat it. If your chicken doesn't live, you don't get to eat. So I kept my chicken alive and I got to eat. So that's when it started. All right, I've got a couple of tools, so that's one of my favorites.
They're nice.
Yeah.
I have to invest in these.
Yeah, those were just some I found on Amazon. These are what people typically have,
Yeah, that's a
right? And I've got some nippers, and I'll just pass this whole bag around. You guys can look at it. I thought that bag was pretty cool. I found that bag on Amazon for maybe like $30.
The whole bag.
The whole bag.
All the tools.
It might not even been 30, maybe $20, but that set of trimmers and everything in that bag was like, I want to say maybe like $19. It wasn't that much.
Wow.
Like those were a little bit more because those are some significant trimmers.
Heavy duty.
Yeah. How are they different from regular scissors?
They're heavier.
Right.
Heavier gauge metal.
Right.
But, I mean, do they do anything specific that a regular pair of scissors won't do?
I could probably cut your finger off of those. Yeah.
I need these for pruning shears.
Yeah. Well, and the thing about it is you can pretty much use pruning shears. They're just, I think,
Heavier gauge.
they're a heavier gauge and they're a little bit more ergonomic because you wouldn't want to use a pair of kitchen shears like for hours, right, for hours and hours and hours. Because it's fine if you got like 5 or 6 goats, but if you got 100 goats, you're not going to want to be, this the ergonomicness, because you know if you feel that, if you grip that, it kind of fits in your hand. It's got those grooves in it, so you won't have a lot of fatigue from that.
Or a lot of slippage.
Right. But like with a pair of like just kitchen shoes or a cheap pair of pruning scissors, because you can use those. A lot of people do use pruning scissors. Because I have a pair that I use, and they look exactly like a pair of pruning shoes that I have, and they're probably made in the same plant in China. They just, one person markets them as pruning shears, somebody else markets them as hoof trimmers. But the ones that are in that bag are a little, I'll show you the difference. Nah, look, I like these, but if you look at them, these got a little flex to them on the tip, right? Those are not flexing. These are not flexing. So if I want to cut, it's gonna cut. Those may move. Yeah, they'll contour. And there's times where I might want that, but if it's a case where I've got some overgrown and they're wrapped around each other, and I need to cut through some thick hooves, I definitely want to have those. Those I want to be able to use for like a little bit more intricate work. If it's just kind of cleaning up. Or if somebody's been maintaining, like these have been maintained pretty well, so they're not going to have a lot of crazy hooves. But somebody that's got this that goes out once a year, I'm gonna need these. So I can move a lot of interior really quick. Yep. All right. Well, we'll go out and because it's getting colder for some reason, the wind, I guess, and we'll. Yeah, she's ready to go. Hurry up. Yeah. So we'll get started. Get them on the stand and do some FAMACHA checking and some hoof trimming. So since you're ready, well, let me get her up here first, yeah, because I don't want her to freak out before. Okay. I was trying to. Oh, okay. That's that simple.
Yeah. I know.
That's pretty simple. All right. So quickly, we'll just do. Where is my? Tara, do you mind giving me a hand real quick, if you don't? So I just want to do some quick FAMACHA checks because they're not gonna be on those stands for long. Very happy. So. Wow, she's done already. All right. All right. So if you come and look, if you can come around. All right, you got it. All right.
There you go, Mama.
All right. So you think that's about a 3? 3? Yeah, about a 3. All right. So, and she could probably use some treatment. She's got. She got a baby?
No.
No?
I hope not. I hope she doesn't. There is a buck out here. These two are supposed to be pregnant.
Okay.
She's retired.
She's retired. Okay.
She's got a big belly, but I don't know.
And about how old is she?
She's like 10,
Ah.
11.
Okay.
She's old.
Yeah. So I'm just looking at body condition, so that age, that matches that.
Okay.
So what she still need treatment?
I would do a fecal on her and see what it looks like, but she's a 10-year-old goat, and she looks like a 10-year-old goat. Yeah, we'll do FAMACHA on all of them. I didn't talk about body condition. I don't have any more feed. Okay. So you can kind of see the difference. You can kind of see her spine a little bit and see her hip bones. But she's an old, and what happens when they get that old, she's probably not gonna like this. You see any teeth? She's got 2 in the front.
Oh, wow.
So when they get that old, they have a problem eating. And so they can't, even though they're grazing all day, they're not getting the same amount of nutrients like a younger goat would. Let me see if I can show you what I was talking about. So see, they're kind of worn here. So the ones in the front are the ones that are, yeah, I know. But yeah, as they get older, same thing what happens like with all, like when it's cattle, it happens a lot too. People get an old cow, like, why is she not gaining any weight? And like, does she have any teeth? Like, oh, I didn't check. About a 3? All right. So she's about a 3. And they've all got good body condition. Oh, go ahead. That's the one you're talking about that was kind of bad.
Yep, it's this one.
Yeah. Yep, about a 3. Yep. So for those, I'd say do a fecal and see what it looks like, and then treat them accordingly. All right. Let me grab my shears. Does she normally fight, or is she cool?
Depending on the day.
Depending on the day. All right. I know. Today is the day. So, I know, I got you. So that's what I was talking about, where they start to grow over. If you can come a little closer. You see here? Where it start to grow over a little bit. And so I just want to go here and trim that. Yeah, I know. It's going to feel a lot better when I'm done now.
Now that'll disable them, right? If it just keeps growing.
Yep.
They won't be able to walk.
Yeah, they'll be lame. You'll have issues with them getting like hoof rot because that area might be staying wet. And then you get it where you're getting trash in there and it stays in there.
It's all caked up.
Yeah. Come on. And they generally don't like to be. Yeah, that smells.
Don't tools have the equivalent of a quick, like a cat or?
They do. And you know, kind of when you
I'm talking about her body.
Oh. And you know, you get stuff caked in there. That's a lot of manure. And she may be starting a little bit of yeah, a little hoof right over here. So I'm not gonna trim too much off of that one because I know it's a little tender. And this I was talking about the difference between the shears. These are a little bit heavier duty. Give me that foot back. Those other ones would start to kind of twist on me. And you don't necessarily want to go and get big bites. You just want to just nibble. Because you can always go and get in there and get some more, but you can't put it back. All right.
When you trim the goat hooves, it's better for you to push that way or the opposite.
Yeah, push it that way. Yeah. So
So there you go.
yeah. So what you could do is, yeah, I don't have stanchions like these. So what I normally do is, I put them up against a fence. So you know, if you got horn goats, you can put a rope around the horns, put it up against the fence, and then you lean up against the goat, and you know, pull that like I'm doing now. But you have the goat up against the fence, right behind you. Yep.
Is it okay to be pulling your leg like that?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. Yeah. And also, you know, if they are pregnant, you would want to do any you know, hoof trimming or anything that's going to kind of aggravate them before that you know, when you're 4 months away from them giving birth. So you want to do it before then. When they're within a month of giving birth, you kind of want them to be as chill as possible at all times.
Gestation period of a goat.
It's
155 days.
there you go. 5 months. Yeah. So after 4 months, you kind of want to limit a lot of what you're doing. Yeah, I know. I heard it's always like this, or it's been a while.
I mean, it's beginning of December.
Yeah.
I usually do it the first of the month.
Okay. So they're kind of just always like this.
Her feet have always kind of been funky.
Yeah, I can tell that.
Like out here.
All right, I'll let you go. Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to. That's a little bit better.
Do you ever file?
I do. So when sometimes like if I get a goat that just doesn't want to cooperate, I'll get it rough, and then I'll file it. Like if I have to kind of like just, and if it's where it's like a bad hoof, like right here, I could leave that right there, and I come back and hit it with the file. Matter of fact, where's my little baggie at? I may have left it. That little orange bag. Okay, but yeah, I have a file in there. Actually, I'll wait till she gets that bag. I need it back. All right, so there's a file in there. It should be a file in there. But I did want that though. So I like this little thingy. Oh, that's pretty neat. So I got a little brush where you can clean out all that. So I just thought that was a pretty cool little thing in the bag.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, you can file it down. So how it was rough, like I said, a lot of times I'll get it rough and I'll just come back with the file. And that's a lot better there. And if it's like just kind of a weird hoof, like she's got, you know. So even like a time like that where it just kind of grows weird, you can hit it with the rasp. Kind of files that down. Pretty quick, actually.
So you want them as flat as you can get them? Or just not curled?
Yeah, just not curled. Yeah.
So your goal is to just like get all of that rotted
Mm-hmm.
off. You're not looking for a particular shape.
Yeah, because that might be a little, like hoof rot to you? A little bit of hoof rot? Just starting, but it's not bad. I mean, I can smell it.
What do you do with foot rot?
In that cases, you can use powder that you could burn and just wrap it up and dry it. You just want it to a dry location.
Yeah,
Clean the
yeah.
area.
And when that kind of starts out, I don't like to go too deep with that because with it starting, it's kind of tender.
How y'all gonna put it out?
Ow.
But that y'all like they just could have been running.
Yeah.
It has been raining.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen cases where you can amputation or get like
If you gotta be amputated, you put it down.
Right. Right. Yeah. You're not. That's. You're making tacos then.
You only eat 3 of the legs.
Man, that was curled over pretty good.
Frankly, I could have one of that, and that would be delicious. I forgot about that
But if you don't have, you just,
So preventive.
yeah, Brenda, just watch them. Just watch them. And then you can actually, you can tell how often you do it. She's got funky hooves.
Sell that property and get some